Attention, President Obama. Some of your staunchest supporters right now, they are angry. Some Democratic lawmakers say the president is failing at one key thing, and they're making some political threats. Stand by.
2010.
Not necessarily from Republicans, but some fellow Democrats. Some of those lawmakers say he's failing on a key issue, so they're making some political threats. Let's go straight to our national political correspondent, Jessica Yellen. She's working the story. Jessica, what's going on?
Well, some Democrats on the Hill are taking aim at President Obama and their own leaders over unemployment, and this gives you a sense why. Right now in the U.S., there are 13 states plus the District of Columbia that have unemployment rates north of 10%. They're spread across the nation all the way from California to Florida, Washington, D.C., Michigan. Americans are feeling the pain, and now some Democrats are demanding the White House get behind a new jobs program right away. Millions of Americans without jobs. Are they being ignored? Some Democrats in Congress say yes, and they blame their own leaders.
The White House needs to hear from Main Street. Leadership on both sides of the aisle needs to hear from Main Street. Obviously, there's something that's not getting through to them.
He's not alone. Members of the Congressional Black Caucus are also slamming the White House, demanding the president do more to stem catastrophic job losses in minority communities.
We're prepared to do what we need to do to truly represent our communities and not simply be legislators who are just inside the box going along with the protocols as usual. We're prepared to use our strength.
These members believe the stimulus is not reaching the hardest hit Americans. Some of their proposals redirect remaining stimulus and Wall Street bailout money to jobs programs, demand banks do more for homeowners facing foreclosure, and pass a new bill to spur job growth, essentially a stimulus by another name. The White House insists it's already focused on this issue, Thursday holding a jobs summit with CEOs, small business owners, and others.
What I think the president wants to do is hear from them on the type of environment that we can have that would allow for that hiring to take place.
That's not good enough for these frustrated House members who say the White House listens too closely to business, especially Wall Street. Representative Rush has organized 128 House members to, as he says, bring the voices of the jobless to the table.
Wall Street has been there for a while. Move over Wall Street, because here comes Main Street.
Now, while some Democrats are hinting that they could withhold votes on important legislation if the White House doesn't get behind a jobs package, perhaps this year, and another threat, the two co-chairs of this Jobs Now caucus, they're actually threatening to organize a massive jobless march on Washington, organizing some of the millions of Americans who are unemployed to make their voices heard by marching on the streets here in Washington. See if that happens.
All right, thanks, Jessica. Let's bring in our senior political analyst, Gloria Borger, and our senior political correspondent, Candy Crowley. He's, I guess, beginning to feel some of the heat, not only on issues like jobs, but also on Afghanistan.
You know, these are the president's friends, Wolf, and it's very clear that these are the people they're saying, look, we've got to face the voters in 2010. You don't, Mr. President. The voters care about unemployment because they're unemployed. And you're not thinking about your base that brought you to the presidency. And we're going to remind you of that. And Afghanistan is another huge problem for them. Do they want to spend this $30 billion on troops, or would they rather spend it back home on domestic programs like jobs programs?
Russ Feingold, the Democratic senator from Wisconsin, told me he's not going to vote for another $30 billion to fund the troops in Afghanistan. Listen to him.
I'm extremely skeptical, and it will not help us in any significant way in the worldwide struggle against al-Qaeda, which is my priority, is the president's priority, and is our national security priority.
He's got a problem here, the president.
He does, but they have a bigger problem. Because precisely for what Gloria just said, which is a lot of them are facing re-election next year, and he's not up until 2012. Look, the problem here is that you would expect that Russ Feingold would say that, because Russ Feingold has been was against the war in Iraq. I mean, he's notoriously anti-war. But he does have enough Democrats. We're in the middle of this, well, hopefully not the middle, or towards the end of this war, but it's been going on for 8 years. years. It is inconceivable that there will not be enough Republicans and enough Democrats to give him the 35 billion. They can make it difficult. Everybody will get their chance to complain. But in the end, they're going to do it. As far as the jobs thing is concerned, what's the balance here? You bring a million people to Washington to talk about the unemployed, and who does that reflect badly on? Well, it reflects badly on the president and the Democrats. So do you really want to draw that much attention to it? This is, I think right now we need to look at this as, not as posturing, but as positioning.
The Congressional Black Caucus, which you can't get a more reliable ally that the president has with the Congressional Black Caucus, but there's some problems.
He's got problems. And just wait and see if the president decides to compromise on a health care reform and to forego the public option. Just wait and see how angry they can get on that one, Wolf.
Because he may have no choice when all the dust settles.
If he wants to get something
in
passed.
the weeks ahead, guys. Thanks very much.
It sounds racist to me.
I will promise you this, that if we have not gotten our troops out by the time I am president, it is the first thing I will do. I will get our troops home. We will bring an end to this war. You can take that to the bank.
And as Commander-in-Chief, I have determined to send an additional 30,000 U.S. troops to Afghanistan.
What I do oppose is a dumb war.
To send an additional 30,000 U.S. troops to Afghanistan.